because we're talking about remote live producer and why brands love us as far as it comes to like growing and building your brand online, especially with live video. And I've got an amazing human being for you today. Like, she cracks me up. Let me tell you, this whole green room experience with her has just been ridiculous. Everyone, go ahead and say hello to my good friend, Yifat Cohen. How are you?
Hi, Stephanie. How are you?
I'm doing absolutely amazing. You guys, let me tell you how amazing and brilliant she is. Okay, so first off, I met her because Mike Alton was like, this is the person that you need to know because she's absolutely amazing. In fact, she's one of the first 100 people to be invited to Google Plus. If you remember Google Plus, right? Because she built her entire brand with one show on that platform. And get this, they had actually reached out to her and then they hired her. Like, how often does that happen? Not very often. So they hired her, flew her around the world to train their own team to speak at their offices, which they don't do very often. It's only for the best, for the elite. And that is exactly who I have here for you today. So she's worked with the city of Austin. She's been featured on radio shows, big stages, and live events. And yes, now she's here on Lights Camera Live. She is one of the most connected people out there. She's helped her clients generate over $250,000 in 10 days from an email list that was just like completely on its deathbed, and it's all because of her amazing engagement strategy. So having said that, you guys, say what's up.
Hey, Stephanie, this is so, it's like you and I were sitting there tinkering with the kids and everything, and being the producer that I am, it's so weird for me not to flip and go and move and stuff and just stare at the camera and just hear you share that. So thank you for that experience.
It's always fun when you're a guest on someone else's show, because then you don't have to do much, right? Because I've been a guest on other people's show. I'm like, I get to just like kick back and relax. But then like today, as we were preparing, I was like, okay, let's fix our cameras. Let's do this. What's the size of your head? What's the size of my head? And all of that stuff, right? So it's always fun when you have another live streamer on the show. So Yifat, welcome. How are you holding up?
So, are you feeling a little bit disturbance in the force and kind of like a little bit in the connection in the bandwidth here, or is it just on my end?
It looks like every now and then the camera on your side freezes, so I'm like, every now and then I will flip it back over to me just to keep the show going.
Just so we know. Okay, fantastic. So thank you for having me. This is super cool, and I'm excited to actually geek out with another live streamer. That doesn't happen very often.
No, it doesn't. So tell everyone how you first got started, because you did this way back in the day. You're like one of the live streaming legends, which is why I absolutely wanted you on the Leap into Live Streaming Bootcamp. So tell them a little bit about you and what it is that you do.
Thank you. So I started, like you said, today I went back to see when was my first stream. And it was back in 2012. So it's been a moment. And I think, I was one, and I don't think, I know, I was one of the first people to get privileges for Hangouts on Air. And so I started interviewing people that I really geeked out about. And that's where the name came up from. I'm that geek because I was just talking about things that interest me. So with the senior vice president of Walt Disney, we talked about how the Muppets came to be. And with the youngest president of the NAACP, we talked about him being a journalist and black and, almost dying for a story. And with the former ambassador to the UN, we talked about he's coming back from the killing fields of Cambodia all the way to the White House. And then I was also interested in SEO and internet marketing and all that other jazz. So none of it really connected to each other except me being the one geek that really cared about all that stuff. And so I started doing a show, and I always say like one show on one platform that most of the world couldn't care less about, right? That built my entire brand. And because of that connection and because of that, visibility, I was able to work with Google, with the city of Austin, speak on stages and all that stuff. And then Google decided that they don't feel like having Google Plus anymore.
So what'd you do? I mean, at that point, what do you do when the platform that you've been building your audience on goes away? Because so many people are now jumping on Facebook or Instagram or on LinkedIn. What did you do to pivot in your business?
Yeah, so I now say don't build your home on rented properties because just now, right before our interview began, Facebook locked me out for a second. And so if I relied only on Facebook, I would be effed. So no Vaseline, right? It wouldn't be a nice experience. And so you don't want to build your home on rented properties. What you want to do is you want to leverage social media and you really want to build an audience, not just traffic, not just views. You really want to build an audience. And that's what I've been preaching since 2 years now. And finally, people, because of the corona, the world had to stop, and finally they're coming in and they're starting engaging rather than just like broadcasting. So hallelujah.
Hallelujah. That is the truth. And shout out to Mike Alton who says, yes, do not build your audience on rented platforms. So you guys, I also feel like restaurants are feeling that pain too, right? Because a lot of the restaurants where I live have shifted over to takeout or to delivery. And they're relying so much on social media, which we know sometimes doesn't always get the message out there. But if they had an email list.
But even better, Stephanie, if you're looking at what Gary Vee is doing right now, he's getting everybody's cell phone numbers. Ooh. And cell phone numbers are not going to change. And every time you get a message, we're kind of like Maslow dogs, right? Like, toop, toop, what happened? So if you can get into the back pocket of your audience, that's a bigger plus. Right. And so if you're watching Gary right now, he's going live only on 2 platforms, which is interesting to me, only LinkedIn and Facebook. But he's taking questions, not in the chat. He's taking questions by text. He's like, hey, text me. He's building an entire platform.
Oh, that's so clever. I like that. Okay. See, you guys, proud. This is why I love talking to her. Like the first time that you and I had met, we're like, hey, let's first hop on a Zoom call to see if we're the right fit.
Right? Yeah, we're testing the water with each other.
Yeah, we're like, would you be a good guest on my show? This is like real life of live streamers, right? You have to vet your guest. And so like our phone call was supposed to be like 30 minutes and it probably went to an hour because we just clicked and like we totally got it. It made a lot of sense. And every time I feel like you talk to her, you walk away with new ideas. So yes, if you haven't pulled out your notebooks yet, get them. Okay, so now let's talk about remote live producer, because this is something where a lot of people are jumping onto live video and they're like, how do I even get started? There's all this tech. I don't even know where to start. But you're the expert.
Thank you. So there's two different ways to look at remote live producing, right? So are you doing it for yourself or are you doing it for someone else? So let's talk about it for a second. How difficult it is to be the host and the producer at the same time. I mean, like, how long have you been doing this, Stephanie?
Oh, gosh. 3 years? 4 years, maybe? Yeah.
Right? And just now, I believe, in the last 2 weeks, YouTube completely removed the events from YouTube itself. So you can't schedule events in the same way. So the entire interface has changed. And now you have to look for keys and different settings in a different, completely new layout. So if you're not really techie and you don't love keeping up with the trends and the changing technologies because they change from moment by moment by moment, then you would probably benefit from having a remote live producer because they love the tech and you can be the star, the person on the couch interviewing, having conversations, and not worrying about anything that can go wrong because just now before we started, right, there was like, what's going on with Skype?
Oh gosh. Yeah, like true confessions of a live streamer, right? I've never had this issue before, but for some reason Skype was not pulling in my video. And luckily for me, because I have relationships with Ecamm, I was like ready to send Glenn a message and be like, yo, what's happening? How do I figure this out? I got 5 minutes, and in 5 minutes you could do a lot, right?
Yeah. And it's totally different than what most people are used to because most people have never done live. And so when you have to troubleshoot on the fly, when you have a live stream going on, if you stream from more than one location, then it's a lot of pressure. And so I used to teach this to people, and then they're like, you know what, I got overwhelmed. Can you just do it for me? And so now we're doing it for people. But if you want to become a remote live producer, then what I suggest is start by producing your own shows, right? Like tinker with the tech. There's so many things out there. I think you, Stephanie, named OBS the IKEA of streaming.
Yes, OBS is exactly the IKEA of live streaming. You hardly get any instructions. I mean, I was hanging out on Reddit with gamers for way too long, and I was like, I need to get out of here.
Yeah, right. And finally, you went to like a paid solution that supports you and can actually deliver the product the way that you want to deliver it. And most people, when they start with live streaming, they're like, okay, what's the cheapest option, the easiest option? How can I go and get that done? So the cheapest and easiest is this. You just have your phone, right?
It is. It is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just pull up the app, click, probably, go live, and you're live, and that's it. And you don't need anything major. That's the cheapest and easiest. Now, if you want to become a little bit more like what Stephanie and I are doing, then you need a lot more tools. And now you're messing with sound, with light, with multiple audiences or guests, with comments coming in, with different streams and different platforms. So you really need to love this thing if you want to get into it.
I always think of like as live streaming as improv. You just have to roll with it. And even when you're the producer of the show, like you have to be quick with your fingers as far as like, I need to mute this, I need to switch the screen, I have to do all this stuff. But definitely, I would say improv is at the very, very top. Be flexible. Nothing is ever going to be perfect.
Ever, right? Like Gary Vee today was freezing. So it happens. I mean, stuff happens. And you have to be like, hopefully the people that you work with understand that stuff happens as well. And it happened, like webinars, they will go live, they will not go live, they're on, they're off. Like technology always has some stuff. So, so if you want to become a remote live producer, make sure that you really, really love it. The other thing that you really need to make sure is having a very strong system. So first of all, you have to have super fast internet connection. You have to be hardwired. And I was thinking even on sharing my screen and doing a little test, speed test, just to see like, hey, let's compare numbers, geeky. How much is your upload? How much is my upload?
On average, I would say that it's probably like 38 upload sometimes.
No,
Yeah. What is yours? Is yours like 100 or something?
hold on.
Time out while we geek out real quick. And so while she's looking that up, sometimes when I'm traveling and I go to a hotel for a conference, and I'm like, my internet upload speed's like 1. I'm like,
I know, right? Okay, hold on a second. Speed test.
if you guys know what your internet upload speed is, especially as you're live streaming, let us know in the comments. I'd be so curious to hear what it is. Because here in San Diego, last time I remember, Yifat, it was like 38 or something like that.
Okay, so can I share my screen in Skype?
Go for it.
Let's see. Start recording, start thing. Where is my share screen? Is it? No, that's not it. See? I'm not used to that. Okay, I'll just say it. So my download is 405, my upload is 417.
What?
I know.
That is insane.
I was telling it to my son's dad, and they're both like, "What? Your ping is 5 milliseconds? What?" They're like, "The hell with it! I'm getting fiber." So here's a shout out for fiber. If you want to go live on all platforms at once and have like really good internet connection, get fiber. I mean, we're paying a lot, but you kind of gotta.
Oh, that's
yeah.
interesting because Michael says that he always checks mine, and he gets 650 down and 25 up.
Yeah, you can't beat me, baby.
You guys, we are all like internet snobs. We're like, well, I feel like you should go. Like when we're networking, we should have like a button, and it's like, well, this is what my upload speed is.
My download speed. My download speed is faster than yours.
That's funny.
I know, right? And this is women talking about numbers and
tech.
sizes.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so we talk about remote live producer, and I feel like there's different levels of it because I've also spoken to Kimberly Flowers, who does the same thing. And some people are just like, I will only produce the show, that's it. And then there's some people who are like, well, I will promote your show from A to Z. I will even repurpose the content and give you all of that stuff. Can you shed some light on like the services that you offer?
Yeah, so we do all, right? So we can only produce the show, and we can repurpose some of it, and we can do the entire gamut, which is talking to the guests, creating emails, creating SMS, creating Facebook messages. I think the biggest thing that people need to kind of wrap their hand around is when you do a show, you get amazing, amazing content in just 1 hour, right? And now you can take that and turn that into user-generated content like very quickly. But you need to have a good video editor, you need to have a copywriter, you need to have a graphic designer, you need to have a web design site, web person to put it on your website. You need to have distribution, you need to have emails and processes. You need an entire team to actually help you with repurposing, distributing, creating all that stuff. So it's two different skills. One of them going live, another one is taking the live and actually turning it into content that people care about. So we do everything from A to Z, but it really depends on what you guys need. Like, you already have a team, fantastic, just run a show. You don't have a
Yeah.
team, you need someone to do it, do it. Guests, I found, and I think you'll agree with me, guests are the hardest part of this entire equation.
Very, very true. I've had like when I was doing remote live producer for another event, right? Finally, like the talking head for the client. She had everything down as far as like the DSLR, the lighting, all of that was good. And then the guest came in. And then the guest came in on a mobile device in the middle of a conference with people walking around. And I was like, what are you doing? I was like, why of all times did you do that? I feel like sometimes when you're bringing in a guest, it's like, we need a checklist.
Which you are fantastic at this, I might say. You are very, very organized, and everything is very, very laid out quickly. And I'm assuming people still kind of mess it up. Are they not?
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes, I've actually had, okay, confessions of a live streamer. This one time, the show was going really good. It was going really great. And in the middle of the show, the guest was like, oh, well, let me show you how I connect my camera. And then she just unplugged the camera. I was like, well.
And you're like, we're live.
I'm like, we're live. I can't pause. I can't edit that. But yeah, no. It's really funny. But I feel like even during these times right now, what's helpful is that people are now starting to learn, like, the do's and don'ts of being on camera. Like, I've seen like a ton of hilarious videos of how people are just working from home and failing at it.
Dude, there should be like a YouTube blooper kind of thing, right? Like home failure. The girl with the girl with the bathroom. Have you seen that one?
Yes!
That was like, I love the comments, because all the comments were like, go, mess up your teammates who put this online. How, asinine of them to go and put this online. But woman, really?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I had people joining in from their bedroom with their bra hanging out on the closet.
Okay, that actually happened to me once. Because like all of us that are working from home, we're just like, yay, don't have to worry about it. And I usually hang it like behind my chair. Like, this is a true story. And so then like I'm talking and it's just hanging, and I was like, oh my God.
Hopefully it was your sexy one, not your period one.
Oh, see? Like, if I'm able to run this show without like laughing, crying, we will be surprised. All right. So for those of you that are just tuning in, we're talking about remote live producer. What does it mean to actually be a remote live producer? We've also talked about like the different services that remote live producers offer. There are those that will only do the show, or there are amazing people like Yifat who are just like everything as far as like pre-promotion, getting your guests ready, writing the marketing materials for it, repurposing it, like all of that is like the whole spectrum of what remote live producer has to offer. And so do you find a lot of people signing up for that?
You know what? It's really interesting. I am very grateful for the Corona coming up, because up until then, you had to like pull teeth and convince people that live streaming can actually be a good thing for them. And they're like, no, we're doing live events. No, we're meeting in person. No, we're.
Yeah.
And now, hallelujah, um, by force or by thirst, everything I've been preaching for the past 8 years is coming to fruition. And I hope, really, really hope that people will continue doing this and not going back to the traffic jams and, messing up the air and all that other stuff. We have courts now working with Skype. Have you heard that?
I have a really good friend. His name is Mitch Jackson. He's the live streaming lawyer, and he's talking about like how lawyers can now have conversations with their clients, remote. I also have
How hard was that?
yeah.
Right? Like, did we really need the world to shut down for the world to understand in-person bonding and video bonding is the same? We have research that shows this, that people will bond over video just as they will face to face, because you see the macro expressions, you get the vibe, you get the feeling. It's exactly the same. So I don't need to drive to my accountant anymore. Thank you. I don't need to go to my lawyer anymore. So now we can actually socialize, and come together, not for just work environment, but just to socialize. Just, hey, let's have coffee, have the conversation around the cooler, have some human touch because we need it, and leave the work for work, right? Like we can save so much with remote video.
Yeah, it's interesting because I've had different employers in the past where they're like, no, 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 we can't do remote because then it's a breakdown in communication and blah, blah, blah. And now they're realizing, wait, we made things a lot harder than they should have been because you have these amazing tools like Slack and other like project management tools that makes it a lot faster. So people are learning a lot. And because you and I have been doing Remote Live Producer for so long, we have that streamlined workflow where we're just like, and this is how you transition it to be online.
Right? And it's not that difficult. Press the button, not that hard. Make sure the bra is not on the chair. All right?
That should be on the checklist. You know what? Actually, I think that would be really funny is if to see if your guests are actually reading the checklist, you just got to put something crazy in there. It's like, remember to brush your teeth. Try not to drink a green smoothie right before you go on, which I've actually had that before. And I was like,
you had something in your teeth?
Yeah, it makes it kind of funny. All right, so here's a question for those of you that are tuning in. If you offer remote live producer services, how did you actually figure out how you charged for that? That's a really good question. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, and so at the beginning, I charged very little, and because I came back from Google Plus, and Google Plus, I'm like, dude, this is easy. Everybody can do this. Turns out everybody can and don't want to do it.
Yeah.
So, right, and so then I would be charging by the hour. But then I saw like the results that I was giving, so we're working for 10 days, you're making $250,000. I should be paid by the value that I produce, not by the time of the project.
Oh my gosh, wait. I need you to say that again. Go.
I should be paid by the value that I provide, not by the time that it takes me to do this, right? Because it took me 8 years to know what I know right now. Do you want to pay me for the 8 years or do you just want to pay for the results? And at the end of the day, all you care about is the results that you're getting. So let's find out what is the value of the results that you're getting, and let's charge according to that. So I used to take a percentage, and now a lot of people are asking for rev share. And when they do ask for that, then what I want to know is that they really have an audience, right? They really have some revenue to share. And if not, we just do it, flat fee.
Yes. I love the fact that you said, well, do they actually have revenue to share, right?
Right? I had someone call me, God bless her soul, and I was like, if someone else tells me that they're going to give like 30% of their business to whoever is going to build their business, I'm going to shoot them. Because it's like, why would I build your business for 30% and not build my business for 100%?
Yes.
Right? Like, where is the idea, the notion of like, oh, you just build this and take 30%, but it's my business. So obviously you don't know how to build it, so pay someone to build it. Because otherwise you would be able to afford to pay people to do that.
Agree. Stop being cheap. Okay, so for those brands, right, because I can't tell you how many phone calls I've been on like the last 2 weeks where people are like, okay, so now we want to do live streaming, but Stephanie, can you send me articles? Can you, and I'm like,
articles about what?
Articles of how to get started. And I was like, I can, but no, no, that experience matters, right? So, and this goes out to other brands too, where they're just like, well, we could hire someone else, or like, what are 3 questions that brands should be asking before they hire someone out?
Yeah, great question. So I think the first thing is that you really want to know that the person has experience, because everybody, like we said, can press the go button, but or the go live button. But what happens when there's technical issues? You can't hear anyone on something, or someone didn't come in, or the video is blurry, or the stream's supposed to go live and it's not going live, or something happens in the middle. You need to have someone with experience. 3 years is fantastic, right? I've been doing this over and over again, so they kind of like they know how to kind of like troubleshoot on the fly. This is not podcasting, so you can't re-record. I mean, you could re-record, but you're live. So you need someone who actually knows what they're doing. So that's the first one. Second one, I actually would look at the equipment that they're using. Do they have high-speed uploads? Because if not, then how can they bring you in and stream you? Their system, just their CPU is going to crash. And the CPU is the brain of the computer. So if that doesn't process fast enough, everything will be great and stuff. So that's one. And then I would really ask to see how they do things. I mean, there are hiccups with everything, but in general, can they hold a show? Can they run a show? And if they can't, then again, so we didn't talk about this, but it's very important. You were asking about brands doing this. And so as a brand, you have a face, you have an image to keep, right? So you could go with your neighbor next door, but you're not going to look like a brand. There are things that, brand look like. And yes, when, any celebrity goes live for like 30 seconds on Instagram or TikTok and does like a really quick video, that's cute, that's authentic, that's great. But that's not a conversation that you see on TV or Ellen or Oprah or Gary Vaynerchuk or whoever, right? You're not seeing them running like full hour-on conversations from their mobile devices. Gary has a team of 20 people running after him with cameras and videos and editing and all that stuff. So if you want to be at that level, then you need to have a team behind you. And if you want to have a team behind you, then how do you choose the team? Well, look at what the team is producing right now for themselves and other clients, and that will allow you to kind of like decipher what's working and what's not.
That's true. Yeah. Because some people who only produce one show, and this isn't a knock at all, but this is advice, right? Like if you want to be a remote live producer, it's nice to have your portfolio, right? Just as you would if you were a graphic designer. You don't just show one brand. You show different ways that you could present a brand. Also having ideas about like, it doesn't have to be like this dual thing right here. It could be something where you're showing like, I could do intros and outros and bumper videos. I could do different overlays because no one wants to have the same show that has the same overlays as another show. You're like, wait a second. That's the whole branding purpose, right?
Right. And you need a strategy. If you don't have a strategy for your live streaming, then might as well just do it from your phone. Just go live, talk to people and stuff. But if you have a strategy behind that, then it's usually people with some experience that go like, look, we've been doing this for a while. Here's what's working. Here's what's not working. And the beauty with live video is that it's dynamic and it's fluid and it changes all the time. So you can start doing live videos, kind of read how the audience responds to that, and then pivot. Yeah. Unlike many other things of like, no, we have a content calendar, and here is the content for the next 3 months. And then if a disaster happens. That happened to digital marketer. Have you seen Ryan Dice's post?
I haven't been following them because I would get like daily emails like all the time. But what happened?
So they completely messed up because they set up a lot of things way in advance, content calendar and emails and all that stuff. And coronavirus broke up and they sent totally tone insensitive emails to their readers, got some, hit back, changed it on the fly and resend it and kind of save the day. Oh. But if you are working with a content team that is producing content for you for the next 60 or 90 days, and that's the content that is set up in HubSpot or something to go out. Yeah. And all of a sudden something happens and you look like, like you don't even care online. Yeah. So you have to be a little bit more flexible and dynamic, and live video does that.
Yeah. And that's actually a good point because I just helped out Mike over at Agora Pulse and Jennifer Watson because they wanted to say, like, how do social media and PR teams respond to a crisis? And one of the things that we had talked about was like have a kickoff meeting, take a look at all of your pre-planned content, shift gears if you need to, but take a look at like what you have pre-scheduled throughout like your whole entire social media ecosystem. So that makes a lot of sense. Cool. So for those of you that are tuning in, we've been talking about Remote Life Producer. We've talked about everything about like even like how much to charge, what kind of services people offer, why brands should hire people like us who have been doing this for so long. And if you wanted to become a Remote Life Producer, what are some things that you should show? First off, it's going to be about your breadth of knowledge, your depth of knowledge, especially when it comes to tech, right? As far as like, how do you brand a show? Because no one wants to have the same show that looks like somebody else's show, right? Like look at hers. This is her setup, and I absolutely love it.
Thank you.
And what was so funny?
I love yours, actually. I really love yours.
And what was funny was because when you have another live streamer on the show, we are so like proud of our designs that I was like, okay, you thought, well, you have this over there, and maybe I could move this around because you want to honor their brand, right? Because they've worked so hard on it. Like, I don't know if you hired a graphic designer. You're smart. You probably did it yourself, right?
No, so this one came back from my, I think, was it the first month or 6 months into Google Plus, and I was like, wow, Google Plus is like the Matrix. If you don't, you have to experience it to get it. And it was connected to everything. So it was connected to YouTube and Maps and Gmail and search and everything. And I was like, well, maybe I'm kind of like the key master, because G plus go to gal. So I met a guy, and I was like, hey, can you create a little avatar for me, and she'll be the key master? And he did, and I was like, yeah. Maybe I'll be Trinity. So here's my Trinity, but because she's a little bit more cooler than the Keymaster in the Matrix. But she stuck with me since then, and I haven't done much with her since then because the guy got so much work, and he's like, I can't create any more positions and poses for her. So she's my only little Trinity right there. And you were showing my site.
Yeah, I wanted to show them like how amazing your site is, because here's the cool thing that you also do. I remember when I was checking out your other website, you had like a dedicated like watch live now, because the way that you promoted your show is that you were actually, instead of like someone like me where I drive people to Facebook to interact and be a part of the show, you're driving them to your website, and I thought that was so brilliant. Can you give like a little explanation of why you decided to do that?
So don't build your home on rented properties. Please, if anything you take from me, please don't build your home on rented properties. Your site, so for example, right now, when you search for the name of any of my guests, my website comes up. And Facebook cannot shut my website down, and Google, I guess, can denote me, but Instagram will not shut it down. And so if in your brain, every time you want to go and see me and interact with me, you think about going to thatgeek.com, then I have a room in your mind that you hold there, right? So if you think about me, you don't think Facebook, you think I'm that geek. You don't think YouTube, you think I'm that geek. You don't think LinkedIn, right? You find me where I am in my house. And so as things change, Google Plus is gone, Hangout is gone, MySpace is gone, Blab is gone, Periscope is kind of like there, right? Things change and move and all that stuff. Instead of me moving you from one platform to another platform, I want to have one place, one home, my virtual property in the internet that is my site. And so what happens is when I bring you to my site, a few things happen. You are not distracted by everything else that's happening. There's no notification that pop up and kind of like steal your attention. Like you are in Facebook or in YouTube or in LinkedIn. So you can completely immerse yourself in the conversation and really benefit from that. Another thing that happens is I control the layout. So I can put up any calls to action, or I can put affiliate promotion, or I can put resources that help you. That's my landscape. So I can design it however I want. And the last thing is when you come to my website, that's how you can come and engage with me face to face and actually be part of the conversation. Because I'm very big on like connecting with people, right? A connection over information. And so I want you to come in and get used to like moving from Facebook to her website. I'm clicking in and I'm having a conversation face to face with her to see if she's full of shit or if she really knows what she's talking about.
Oh my God. All right. So, and this is kind of like what I was talking about, because you have this button up here where it says like watch
Yeah, if
live.
you scroll down, you'll see it. I need to change that, right?
Yeah, so it
there you
says
go.
live now, but then it's cool because she embeds it in here, and then click here to chat in real time. Thought it was so brilliant.
Thank you.
And this is one of those things where I'm just like, this is probably something that you're able to quickly, easily build out for your clients too, right?
That's what we do for them. Yes, we build them a dedicated, I call it a web TV platform, right? And it looks exactly the same as their website. Nobody even knows that they're flipping sites. So if you build your own beautiful custom-made website, when you come and you do live shows, it looks exactly the same. I just don't touch yours because I don't know how you build it. And so what happens is exactly the same thing that happens with podcast. And that's another thing that kind of bugs me. Everybody wants to do podcast, right? But it's like, instead of like, hey, come, and they're doing show notes and they're, putting all that information, like really laboring over getting the content on their website. And then they send people to iTunes to listen. Why?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's a really good point. Do you think that people do that? And this is just putting on like the sponsorship hat, because they could say, this is how many downloads I have. Do you think, and I don't know if you know the answer to this, do you think having downloads versus site traffic is more important?
Well, but the podcast plugin will track the listeners on the
Okay.
website as well. So you get the same thing. So what people are doing is they're like, come listen to me on iTunes. And and on the podcast at the end, they're like, if you liked it, come to my website. Send them to your website, have all the buttons and everything on the site if they want to listen to you on iTunes, on Stitcher, on wherever, right? But all the traffic should come to your site because that's your that's your money maker. You want to promote your money maker.
I felt like he wanted to go and just like do a little shimmy real quick. I was like, are you okay? We'll do
But
that.
the microphone was in the way, so I was like, there was no,
That's the thing, right? That's the thing about mics. It's like, I used to have like my mic right here, but because I talk a lot with my hands, it's like boom. And I was like, well, there goes the gong.
I know,
It is
right?
what it is. All right. So, you guys, for those of you who don't know, there is an amazing 3-day boot camp called Leap into Live Streaming Boot Camp. And of course, you know that I have her. I got her on there. So can you tell them like what you're going to be talking about? Because I know that my audience has not met you before and they need to know you. So tell us a little bit about what you're going to be sharing with us on the Leap into Live Streaming Boot Camp.
Yes. Actually, I think you guys are really going to dig this because we're going to be talking about influence. And the best person who wrote the book about influence is Cialdini. He created 6 principles of influence. And I'm going to show you how you can use live streaming to have all those 6 principles in one show. And why would you want to do that? It's because I think everybody wants to be a little bit more influential, whether with your relationship with your partner, your kids, your job, online. Influence is always great. If you want to sell something or just like win a debate or an argument or a conversation, you need to have a little bit of influence. And so how do you encapsulate all those 6 principles into one live show? That's what I'm going to be talking about. So hopefully you join me. And if you have any questions about this, send them to Stephanie because I would love to answer them during that. Stephanie, I'm giving you more work.
No, I absolutely love it. Just even the fact that, you know, Cialdini is like bomb. Like everyone knows that I love psychology and human behavior, and having influence, knowing how to increase your influence, especially with a live video, is going to help you get on that fascination fast track. And there's no other person that I would love to have on this summit but her. Because here's the thing, I was very, very particular about the speakers. I was like, I don't want people that have just been on every other summit just doing the thing. Like, I want to have it structured in a way where, like, if you're shy or reluctant and you're scared about being on camera, cool. Ian Anderson Gray, he's going to help you out with that. If you need a system to streamline your workflows, Yvonne Hyman, she's going to show you how to do that. If you need to figure out how to repurpose your content, Mike Alton, he's going to help you out with that. But if you want to increase your influence and your impact as well as your income, because you know that she's making a lot of money, right? Then she's the one that you definitely want to tune in.
No.
You're like, wait a second, I'm in quarantine. No one needs to come knocking on my door right now.
All of a sudden, knock on the door. Hello.
Yes. All right, cool. So if you guys have any questions about Remote Live Producer, by all means, now is the time because we're gonna go ahead and start wrapping things up. But honestly, we've talked about so much. We've talked about what is Remote Live Producer, why brands need to hire us, how to tell if you're hiring the right one, right?
Yeah.
Right? How to test them out, right? So you basically want them to go to like, I need you to go on Zoom, go to speedtest.net right now, and let's see.
Let's see. Let's see if I can share, because that would be fun.
Let's see what it is.
Hold on.
Okay.
Hold on.
So again,
as you're grabbing all the
questions.
All the questions.
Yes. So while you do that, let me go ahead and drop a promo video real quick about the Leap into Live Streaming Summit. And then as that's playing, you guys go ahead and type in your questions, okay? All right. So what is it? What's your upload speed?
Can you see it? I don't know if you can see it.
I can see it on Skype, but I can't see it on this screen.
Oh, you can? Okay. So it's 281.43 download and 375.20 upload. Because I care more about the upload than the download. Because we're streamers, right? We need to, put up.
Yeah.
Download, I'll wait.
How did you feel when you heard that that Facebook, Netflix, and YouTube are now, cutting back on the bit rates on the videos, and now they're going to standard? Were you just like, wait a second?
Wait, but that's only in Europe, isn't it?
No, I think they did it in the US too, because I saw the Facebook one and I put it in the social media strategist group.
Because I saw it on only in Europe because of all the Europeans staying at home. But honestly, do you feel a difference? Do you feel a difference in anything?
I haven't seen a big difference. But I do know that a lot of live streaming friends were having trouble going live just on Facebook yesterday.
So here's the beauty of being live everywhere, right? If you have a problem with Facebook, come see me on my website where there are no problems and it's smooth and it's fine, right?
That's right.
So that's the challenge with it's really you know what? So one more thing for Remote Live Producer as I adjust my.
And we're gonna go ahead and refresh that real quick. Yifat, I think you were doing a lot of speed testing on your part, so then it froze a little bit. But for those of you that are asking questions, Philip was saying, Stephanie, what camera is that? So the camera that I have is the Lumix GH5, and I've connected it through Camlink. So that's how it works. Yifat, how are you doing right now? I think your neighbors are now on the internet. Okay, so we lost Yifat. Let me go ahead and see if I still have her over on Skype. Okay, unfortunately, she bounced out just as it was getting really good. But if you guys have any questions about Remote Live Producer, by all means, go ahead and leave a comment and I'll have her jump back in and she could go ahead and answer those questions. But also, remember that there's a Leap into Live Streaming Bootcamp. It's 3 days teaching you guys on how to actually go live on multiple platforms, right? Teaches you everything as far as how to structure your show, how to overcome being shy on camera, right? How to get sponsorships. All of that is in the Leap into Live Streaming Bootcamp. So having said that, Mike says, that's what happens when you brag about your speed. You know what? I think it was just like karma. Karma jumped back in. But all right, you guys, let me see if I could dial her in right now. Hello? Let's see if I can get you back in. Let's see. Oh, you know what? It's not coming in. Oh, wait, there you are.
Yeah?
1 second. Let me switch this real quick. There you are.
Look at that. We're just boasting about speed and everything. And it's like, Skype freezes.
It does.
And I was like, and look at you troubleshooting in real time. High five, lady.
Yes, right? That's another reason why you guys need to have like Stream Deck, right? Because this is how I'm able to control all of the different screens. So whenever she's speaking, I can go ahead and switch the screens and just recover pretty quickly. Like, what do you use to switch your screens?
I actually use hotkeys.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
hotkeys. But I love yours. I want to get one of those. That's my next Christmas gift.
Yeah. You know what's funny is that my husband actually got this for me like 2 years ago on Christmas. And then for an entire year, I didn't even touch it. And he was like, you know what? I'm just going to take it back. And then because he took it back, I was like, no. Now I'll figure it out.
That's the same thing with me and like 3 monitors. I'm like, why do I need 3 monitors? And now it's like, I can't work on a laptop. There's only 1 monitor.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
All right. So, Yifat, thank you so much. You've been absolutely amazing. You guys, I know that you absolutely love her too because she was dropping knowledge bombs left and right. And because I've learned from her, we're going to repurpose this video. We're going to put it everywhere like confetti. And then you'll also see her at the Leap into Live Streaming Bootcamp. So stay tuned for that. All right, you guys. Thanks so much. Bye.